I have descended from heaven to tell you my life story. I'm Queen Elisabeth I, and I was the regent king of England and Ireland. I was born in Greenwich, England, and I was the fifth and last monarch of the Tudor dynasty. My father was Henry VIII. He divorced his wife when he met my mother, who became his second wife. The problem in their relations was that my mother failed to provide him with a son since I was born, and she was executed in the Tower of London because of that. I was then brought up by governors and tutors. I spent most of the days and the time studying Greek and Latin. I was taught the art of public speaking, unheard of for women at that time. I learned how to turn the tide of opinion in my favor, and this became one of my most effective weapons. On 17th November 1558, I was sitting under an oak tree at Hatfield House when a horseman appeared with the news that would have changed my life forever. I was 25 years old at that time, and I was now Queen of England. My half-sister Mary I was the queen at that time, and she had just passed away at that time. She died unpopular with his people and tormented by her own inability to produce an heir. The country now looked at a young queen and for salvation. The celebration for the coronation 2 months later were spectacular. The people were thrilled with the new queen, so I became an instant hit. There was a time of extravagance and luxury, in which a flourishing popular culture was expressed. I embodied a sense of well-being. I liked to wear sumptuous costumes and jewelry, and to be entertained in style in my court. The 16th century was also a time when the poor became poorer. Books and opinions were censored, and plots to overthrow me were rife. As soon as my council had been appointed, I made religion my priority. This returned England to the Protestant faith, stating that public worship, religions, books such as the Bible and prayers were to be conducted in English rather than in Latin. I was a different kind of queen, quick-witted, clever, and able to use feminine wiles to get my own way. I could be as ruthless and calculating as any kind before me, but at the same time I was vain, sentimental, and easily swayed away by flattery. I like to surround myself with attractive people, and my portraits were carefully vetted to make sure that no physical flaws were ever revealed. I relied upon the ministers close to me, but would infuriate them with my indecision. Only when their patience was running short, I would be forced to make up my mind. The welfare of people was paramount importance to me, and I once remarked, I'm already bound to a husband, which is the Kingdom of England. The thing about marriage was to become one of my biggest headaches, and it would cause my ministers sleepless nights. Marriage was a political necessity and a way of forming a useful alliance with an European power. Children would secure the line of succession. This was my duty, and I should get on with it. But there was no announcement, no wedding bells. The years passed until the Parliament refused to grant me any further funds until the matter was settled. This was a big mistake. No one told the Queen what to do, and using the skills of rhetoric I have been taught, I addressed members of Parliament. The welfare of the country was my priority, not marriage. I would marry when it was convenient, and I would thank the Parliament to keep up what was a personal matter. This was not to say I didn't enjoy the company of men. On the contrary, I thrived on the adoration of my ministers, and I knew that flirtation was often the easiest way to get things done. If I follow the inclination of my nature, it is this: bigger woman and single, far rather than married and queen. I asserted my virginity throughout my life, but I was also an attractive woman who thrived on male attention. The next 30 years provided a very hard time for me. The question of how to take care of Ireland had created terrible problems for me over the years. Suddenly, the 9-year wars took place, in which hundreds of English troops were killed. My most trusted minister had passed away. Me myself was not as sharp as I once had been. Ministers often dealt with matters without consulting me, and I became paranoid about the threat of assassination. By now, I was nearly 70. My death came on March 24th. My reign had seen England prosper and become a major player in Europe. My greatest achievement lay in the relationship I had forged with my people. I was ahead of my time in my grasp of public relations, and my popularity had remained untainted. I was rewarded with loyalty and enhanced by the glow of nostalgia, my own unique place in history. Fuck you all! Yes,